calls this story the Dark Man story. So Brian is a
summer. Mr. Diva has been dead for over 15 years, and that yellow dress that
came out of my body. At first, you know, I'm in sleep paralysis. I can't do anything. So I come out of my body and I'm fighting it. Now I'm literally like, we're tussling. Like, I'm getting my licks in, and all of a sudden after that, and plus two, I'm saying the Lord's Prayer at the same time. I'm calling on Jesus.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Huh? Yes.
Look at you.
Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me always. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all pay. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just.
Hey y'all, welcome back to All Things Jenny. I'm Jenny and welcome back to another episode of Spooky Story Time, The Shadow Man. Let's get into it. These stories are really spooky. Keep a light on, grab your snack, grab a drink, grab a smoke, grab some wine, whatever it is. Let's get into it.
This is probably the creepiest ghost story that I've ever read. I got a message from a follower that I'm going to call Brian. Brian is from Texas, and he calls this story the Dark Man story. So Brian has a sister. I'm going to call her Angela. Angela was around 3 years old. She was very sick with really no explanation. So it was very common for family members to sleep in the bed with her, just to keep her warm and make sure she's comfortable. Angela kept saying that she was seeing a man in her room. So her mom would sleep in the room with her, and her mom would never see anything. But Brian's older brother Mike had the gift where he could see spirits and communicate with them. One night, Mike is going to stay with Angela. So they lay down in Angela's room, and the door's open and the TV is on in the living room. So there's like a nice light coming through the doorway. So Mike was asleep with his arm over Angela and his back was facing towards the doorway. All of a sudden, Angela starts like trembling and crying, and Mike's like, what the heck? Like, are you okay? What's going on? And she says, the man is here. So he turns around and he looks in the doorway and he sees what appears to be like a figure of a man. He just assumes it's his dad. So he says, Dad, is that you? And the figure just stands there, has no features. It's just like a shadowy figure. And he said that the guy just slowly shook his head no like this, which I don't know. Like, the thought of that, no, I can't. And then he said that the figure started growing and getting bigger, and all of a sudden the light from the TV is completely blocked out, and he's bigger than the size of the doorway, and it just kind of becomes this big shapeless mass, and it's slowly filling in the room that Mike and Angela are sleeping in. So they're screaming and crying, screaming for their mom, yelling as loud as they can because they are petrified, and it's getting closer and closer to them. All of a sudden the mom is turning on the light in the bedroom. She's like, were you guys calling me? And they're there just hysterically crying like, yeah, what? Yes. So mom basically said that all she could hear was like muffled yelling. Like, it sounded like someone was like kind of quietly yelling for their mom in the distance, and that after she turned on the light, it was as if a sound barrier had broken or something, and all of a sudden they were yelling at full volume. So mom was like, nope, we're done here. Took them out of the bedroom and they stayed with mom. But yeah, the man in the doorway slowly shaking his head no might be the most terrifying thing I've ever heard of. If you have any weird stories that you would like to share, please send them to the email in my bio and like and follow for more stuff like this. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to a series of spooky stories. I'm so glad that you like scary stories because I have more for you. Thanks for the follow, by the way. When I was really little, my parents would let me stay up late on the weekends and watch TV until I fell asleep. I really love these times because I would stay up later than anybody else just because I could. But one night I was almost asleep on the couch when I heard a noise on our front porch. It was the sound of our old-fashioned porch swing moving back and forth. Hell no. A little scared, so I crept toward the bay of the windows in my living room and peeked out towards the porch. Why would you do that? Don't do that. Sitting on my front porch swing was an older woman, probably in her 50s, wearing nothing but a nightgown, covered in blood, and holding a huge kitchen knife. Absolutely fucking not. I flipped out immediately and ran screaming into my parents' room, but was too terrified to form words. My parents saw that I was upset, but when I was finally able to tell them what I saw, my dad got really angry and told me that it was just a dream and to go back to bed. I'm gonna be honest with you, I would probably say the same thing just so I didn't have to go investigate. You know what I mean? I refused and kept crying and screaming until he had enough and snatched my arm, dragged me towards the front door to prove that nothing was there. I kicked and screamed all the way trying to make him stop, but he kept pulling me. Finally, we got to the door. He unlocked it, swung it open and said, "See? There's nothing there." There was indeed something there, wasn't there? To this day, I have never seen the look of fear and shock that was on his face. And when that woman turned and stared at both of us and slowly stood up with a knife. Hell no. My dad slammed the door shut and got my mom to call the police while he went and got his pew-pew. He went back to the door with a 12 gauge and cracked the door enough to stick the barrel out. He asked her what she was doing, and she said, "Somebody killed my husband, but it wasn't me." "I don't believe you, lady." My dad told her that the police were coming. She freaked out, grabbed the knife, and walked away. The police found her 15 minutes later trying to break into one of our neighbors' houses. I never slept in the room again. After she left, my dad called and warned my crazy uncle who lived next door on what was happening. Apparently, he was waiting on his front porch with a shotgun when she walked by. He pointed it at her and said, "Keep moving, bitch." Hell yeah. Now again, these are Reddit stories, so people are able to update them. And the update says, I just talked to my mom and she said that they never really found out the whole story. But apparently she was crazy and off her medication. Her and her husband got into a fight. She tried to attack him with a knife, but didn't seriously hurt him. They got her out of the house. She cut herself with a knife, either trying to commit or make it look like her husband did it. The police never talked to us about it, so that's just what they heard from the woman's neighbors. That is insane and terrifying. Again, like I said in yesterday's story, I would probably shit my pants. Rate it on a scale of spooky, scary, creepy, 1 to 10. 1 being the least spooky, scary, creepy, 10 being the most scary, creepy, spooky. The stories that I'm reading for the series are off of Reddit.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
So I was always super pressed to tell this story, but I know it sounds unbelievable when I say it out loud. But I'ma just take this as a sign to tell my story, because I always kept it to myself and kept it pushing all these years. So boom. I was 13 years old when this happened. I was in the 8th grade. I always took the private bus to and from school. My mornings always went very smoothly, but after school, I always waited about 30 to 45 minutes for the driver. They were always late, so I just got used to it, and at that point, I would just take advantage of that time to chop it up with friends, listen to music, vibe, or walk to the library that's across the street for about 20 minutes and come back, and by the time I get back, my driver's there. So this one particular afternoon, I was blasting my iPod Touch music, and then I went to the library to check out some books. And as I'm standing on the outside of the library, I felt a tap on my shoulder, so I turned around. And it's this beautiful dark-skinned lady, y'all. This beautiful dark-skinned lady. Her skin is literally glowing. She looks like she's about in her mid-40s, I would say. She had these dark golden locks. And she was wearing this yellow, fluffy, cupcake-type dress. It was given she was in her Easter Sunday best, right? And then she goes, "Are you Summer?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me." And she starts smiling. And she goes, "Tell your mother Miss Geneva said hello. You grew up very beautifully. I knew your mother a long time." And she, because of her thick accent, I'm like, okay, it's giving family friend. It's giving, she knew my people from back in the day in Jamaica, and she probably knew me when I was a baby. She probably knew me as I was coming up in some type of way. That's the vibe that it was giving. And then I said, okay, no problem. Thank you. And then she just turned around and walked away like nothing happened. And so I'm like, okay, as soon as I get home, I'm going to tell my mother. And I'm on the bus just thinking about this lady. Like, she's deep-rooted in my mind. And when I get home, I tell my mother everything from A to Z. I said it was this beautiful lady. She looked like she was in her mid-40s. She had these locks in her head. And she said that she knew you for a very long time. Her name is Miss Geneva. And my mom just froze. She froze. And she's like, just trying to process what I'm saying in a way that she's questioning me, and I just had to tell her, like, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, this is what I saw, this was her name, this is what she said. And so my mom broke down, and then she went inside her room and disappeared for a little bit, and then came back out with a folded envelope in her hand. And her hand is shaking as she's placing this folded envelope inside of my hand. And she looked me dead in the eye and she said, "Summer, Miss Diva has been dead for over 15 years. And that yellow dress that you saw her in, that was a dress that she got buried in. That was the dress that she was wearing in her casket. I still get chills when I even say this. And I opened the envelope, and it's this lady's obituary, and that was the lady. That was the lady. And this story is the reason why I know spirits are 100% real. Can't nobody tell me nothing. And I just kept it pushing since that day, like knowing what I saw. I know what I saw. I clearly have witnesses. So, yeah.
I got another scary story for y'all that was submitted by a viewer, but they would like to stay anonymous. So if you're watching this and you want this scary story to be told by me, just hit the DM. So the girl sent me this and said, please don't say my name, and that she only told a few people this story, because it happened a while ago, but she still thinks about it every day. She starts off by saying, when I was 9, I had this imaginary friend named Kayla. She always wore a blue dress. She never blinked. And she always wanted to play one game. And the one game she wanted to play was hide and seek. She goes, but it was never me hiding. I had to stand still while she looked for me. I didn't really get that part, did y'all? She said eventually I got older and I didn't want to play with her anymore. And I told my mom that I didn't want to have an imaginary friend anymore. So I thought it was over. Fast forward to when I was 15. I'm home alone on a Saturday morning. I hear a faint, soft voice calling my name from inside the laundry room. I paused. My eyes got wide because I knew that voice. It was Kayla, but I haven't heard from her in a while. So I slowly walk over to the laundry room. I open the laundry room door. I step one foot inside, and then the lights flickered, and then it completely went dark. I didn't move. I couldn't move. It felt like my body was stuck. I was scared, and it was pitch black. And then all of a sudden, I felt and I heard a little whisper in my ear. And the voice from Kayla said, "You forgot about me." I can feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And I wanted to fight or flight. And I chose flight. I ran upstairs as quick as I could to my mother's room. I told her everything as I was crying. But she didn't really believe me. I can tell by her face. She goes, "Your old imaginary friend Kayla, she's back?" As if she didn't believe me the way she said it. As I continued to cry, I said, "Yes, Mom, yes." So we both walked down together into the laundry room. The lights was on. The dryer door was wide open. And it was scratched with the name Kayla.
In Asian folklore, there is a sea spirit that is similar to a mermaid. It's called Lasirene. And this woman named Rosaline emailed me and said that her mother was born in Jacmel, Haiti, and when she was 12, she drowned. Or at least that's what everyone believed. It was Carnival weekend. Her and her cousins were swimming, and she went out under the tide. She never came back up. Her cousins ran back to shore, told the parents. Everybody searched for her. They combed the beach, they combed the shallow parts, but they could not find her. Rosaline says that although she doesn't practice, her mother's family practiced Haitian voodoo. So every day while her mother was missing, her grandmother lit candles until wax coated the floor. She refused to believe her daughter was gone. And after 3 weeks of lighting candles, her mother walked out of the ocean. She was completely dry. Her hair had grown past her knees and her eyes were darker. When she made it home, she didn't speak for a week. And when she finally did, she told her family that she had gone underwater. And a woman with hair that floated around her, who sang lullabies backward, had taken her underwater. Rosaline's mother said that the woman offered her a choice, which was drown like the others or rise in my name. And her mother knew that this was Lasirene, the queen of the drowned. Rosaline says that her mother told her family that she said that she wanted to live, and so she was marked. She was indebted to Lasirene. And as she got older, she stopped aging like the other girls. She was extremely beautiful, and at 16, she looked 22. Word spread quickly, and by the time she was 17, another voodoo priestess had heard about her in another city and came to see her. She talked to her about the importance of leaving offerings for Lasirene so that she was granted luck and protection. She said they also performed rituals to bind her to the sea, although Rosaline isn't sure the details on those. They left the ocean offerings to make sure she was protected: mirrors, perfumes, pearls. But her offerings came with rules, which was no marriage, no cutting her hair, and absolutely no children. But when she was 21, she left Haiti because she met a man and fell in love, and she moved to the U.S. with this man and eventually had Rosaline. Rosaline Rosaline said her father was not from Haiti, he was American, and he did not believe in spirits, so her mother, not wanting to scare him off, never told her about her family's practices or the fact that she had had an experience with Lasirene when she was a child. And so she says her mother never told her father, maybe out of love, maybe out of rebellion, but from the second Rosaline was born, things started going wrong. She said by the time she was 8 months old, she had not one but 2 near drowning incidents, and by the time she could talk, she was singing a lullaby in Creole that her mother had never taught her. And by the time she was 7, she noticed her mother changing again. All of a sudden, her mother refused to go in the bathroom unless the mirror was covered with a sheet. Sometimes she would find her sitting on the edge of the tub staring into the drain. Her mother started spending her nights writing long letters at a desk, which she kept in a carved wooden box underneath her bed, with other little trinkets, conch shells, lipstick, and a vial of water that Rosaline believed was seawater from where she was from.
Story time on how I found out that my imaginary friend at 5 years old was real. Okay, so I don't know about y'all, but I had an imaginary friend when I was 5 years old. So this was like 3 years ago, I want to say, something like that. It was Paranormal Day, and I was having a team meeting with my team, and my team lead was like, let's share some stories. Does anybody have stories to share? So everybody was sharing their story, and then it got to me, and they're like, Jasmine, you know, do you have any stories to tell? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. I told them I had an imaginary friend when I was 5, and it was so real to me that my brother, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my family, they would catch me talking to my friend in my room or in car rides or whatever the case was. This is where it gets freaky, and pay attention, stay till the end, because your mind will be blown, I swear. First of all, there is a cemetery down the street from my childhood home, and my aunt didn't work too far from us, and not too far from the cemetery. We'd have to pass the cemetery to get to her work, and we would go pick her up. Well, whenever we would leave the house, sometimes my friend wasn't with me, so I would tell my mom, like, Mom, like, my friend, I'm not gonna say her real name, I'm gonna say her name is Lisa. I would tell her, Mom, Lisa's not in the truck, like, we have to go back and get her. And my mom at first was like, Jasmine, like, no, like stop playing. I'm like, no, Mom, for real. So I would get really mad and really sad. I would have to, like, I would make my mom turn around to go pick up my friend. So my mom would turn around to go back to the house, and when we would be getting to my house, I would say, oh no, never mind, Lisa's already here. And my mom was like, what the heck, dude? Like, okay, whatever. Shout out to my mom for listening to me to make me happy. So like I said, we would pass the cemetery, and one day my mom says that I told her, Mom, look, that's where my friend lives. That's where she told me she lives. And my mom was like, oh, really? And then I'm like, yeah. And I'm pointing at the cemetery. Mind you, I'm 5 years old. What 5-year-old knows what a cemetery is, right? So we go pick up my aunt, and my mom, she's like stunned, right? She's like, what the hell, you know? She's been talking to this imaginary friend for some time now, and now she's telling me that her friend lives in a cemetery. Okay, if my daughter were to tell me that right now, my 5-year-old daughter were to tell me, I would be freaked out, right? So my mom was freaked out. We go pick up my aunt. This imaginary friend was so serious for me. At the time, my whole neighborhood would kind of play together. All the kids would play together. All the kids would come to my house and play with me because I had a little playground. Even the kids that were a little bit older than me, they would come and push me on the swings. We'd play tag, all of that, right? And after a while, they started getting freaked out because I would say, oh, don't forget to push my friend Lisa, or oh, don't forget to go tag my friend Lisa. And they were just like, Jasmine, like, I'll be back. I gotta go home real quick. So it was just a big deal. Okay, fast forward, right? So I'm telling my coworkers all this, right? And they're like, oh my God. We get off the call, and one of my coworkers messages me on Teams, and she says, hey, I'm curious. Did you ever go and look in the cemetery, what do you call it? The word just like left my mind. The cemetery directory or something like that, to see if there was in fact a little kid there by the name of your imaginary friend, to see if they're actually there. And I was like, you know what, like, I never thought of that. Stay with me, stay with me. This is where it all comes together and where I was just blown away. Stay with me. I did that. I went to the directory of that cemetery and I type in my imaginary friend's name. Long and behold, a little girl pops up with my imaginary friend's name. Okay, now this is how I linked it and confirmed it. Okay, so my grandma passed away in December of 2000. My friend Lisa, date of death is 3 months prior to my grandma passing away, right? Okay, stay with me. I dug a little deeper because I was like, okay, she's there, but where is she, right? Where my grandma's plot is, my friend, my imaginary friend, her plot is like 3 blocks down from my grandma, which is not far at all. And that just stunned the heck out of me because she had just been buried. She had just been buried when we went to my grandma's burial. So I'm like, oh my God, I must have stepped over her stone. I must have walked past it. I don't know where she attached herself to me. So I did more research, like I said, because I really dug into this. I was like invested. Just the fact that she exists. She was like 6 or 7 years old when she passed away. I dug in deeper. I put in my city, I put in the name, I put in where she, when she passed away, just to see if I could find a story about her, right? And I did, and it's a very sad story, and it's very unfortunate, and I felt really bad. I also did research about, you know, young children's spirit, and what I read, when children pass on, some of them are confused. They don't know what's going on, right? They don't know what just happened to them. So their souls sometimes stay grounded, you know, they stay where, you know, in certain places or whatever. If you want more information on that, you can go and research it. But I was just so like, oh my God, like I had to tell somebody. So I called my husband. I told my husband, I was like, oh my God, dude, check this out. After I talked to my husband, I called my dad, because my dad is one of the persons that is very well aware of my imaginary friend. Okay, I'm running out of time. Go to part 2 to hear the rest of the story.
So I want to tell you a scary story from when I was in high school. And at that time, this is important, I was depressed. I was going through a lot, and my parents were arguing. Like, the home was not a happy home. And that's very important, because I think that is what contributed to what I went through and why it happened. So this is what happened. So one night I was actually going to sleep, you know, as I normally do. And you know how you have a TV that's hanging on a wall? So that TV had a red light, and that's important because that's actually what I kind of seen when I was on the other side. So I went to sleep as I normally do, and all of a sudden this particular night I was asleep, and for some reason I kind of got awoken because I felt my body lift off the bed and hit the floor. Like, that is what woke me up. And then I slowly, because I could tell the sheets, they were moving across my foot because I had the cover on me. And all of a sudden I can feel like my body getting put right back on the bed as where it was. So when that happened, I'm kind of like aware what's going on. So then I'm like waking up, and yes, I'm in sleep paralysis. So I'm sitting here like, what is going on? So I kind of like woke up, and for some reason when I opened like my eyes, basically my room it's like a blue, like instead everything was blue, and I was looking at that dot where my TV screen was, and I think it was like either it wasn't that red anymore. It wasn't that same thing. It was like I was still in my room, but it was like everything was different. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is kind of like bluish, basically. So I look and, like, you know, open my eyes, and I look to my left. It's a dark figure, and it's standing there, and it doesn't have a face. Like, it's like a shadow, and it's looking at me, and it's standing over my bed. And I'm sitting here looking at it and it's looking back at me. And tell me why this thing lunges and it vapors itself and it comes towards my heart. This is where it's going to. So, baby, that was not happening. So what I did was, it was like I started doing this, and for some reason I came out of my body. At first, I'm in sleep paralysis. I can't do anything. So I come out of my body and I'm fighting it. Now I'm literally like, we're tussling, like I'm getting my licks in, and all of a sudden after that, and plus two, I'm saying the Lord's Prayer at the same time. I'm calling on Jesus' name. I'm calling on God. Like, I'm like, come help me, get this thing up off me. You are not taking me, because I'm not letting this happen at all. So I'm fighting it, and then finally it stops and it goes away. So after fighting it, I just want to let you know, I came up out of my body. Like, I actually seen myself like above my body, but I wasn't really paying attention like that because I was just so focused on getting this thing up out me. So once I finally did come up out of it, that's when I got up and I bolted out that room. Like, I literally did not want to go to sleep. I told my parents, but of course my parents are not going to listen. They just think I'm like dramatic or whatever like that. But I was like adamant. I said, I'm not going to sleep. I told my best friend at the time, I was like, girl, this is what happened to me. So we're like, we don't know what we're doing. So we literally start reciting Bible scriptures and taking olive oil, like holy oil, and marking it all across the room with crosses everywhere, and to do what we can. And we're doing our own version of cleansing my room. Like, again, we're in high school. And I just want to say this as well. Like, I normally don't like sleeping with my door closed. I always have my door cracked. But for some reason, that particular night, my door was closed. And this is exactly what happened. I think that whatever it was in my room, and it was like feeding off the energy that I was letting off, because I was always sad. I was always depressed, and I was always crying and stuff like that. So that was a crazy time. But I just got to say that I'm just glad that I was able to fight whatever it is and come to its level to not let it take over me. I'm scared to think of what could have happened if I didn't act upon what I did.
Let me tell you about the spookiest demonic encounter I ever had. So I used to be a worship leader at a church, and I used to be married to a worship leader at a church. It was our first year of marriage, and we had just moved into a very small apartment, and it was in kind of a rough part of town. And well, one evening, me and my husband were just kind of hanging out on the little patio area outside our front door. It was dark. It was probably about 9 o'clock in the evening. And as we're sitting there just kind of talking, I look over my shoulder because something catches my eye. And I see a man standing probably 15 feet from us, dressed in solid black. He had like a hoodie on, like had a hood over his face, and I couldn't make out any facial features, but he was just standing there, just looking at us. And I look at my husband and I go, babe, let's go. That guy's creeping me out. And my husband kind of looks over there and he goes, okay. And he kind of ushers me back inside. We go inside, shut the door, lock the door. And I was like, what was that guy doing? That was just super creepy. He was just standing there staring at us. And my husband looks at me and he said, look, I didn't want to say this while we were outside because I didn't want to scare you, but there was nobody there. I said, nobody there? He was right there, like 15 feet away. He was just standing on the sidewalk staring at us. How could you have not seen him? And he said, I swear to God, babe, I looked right where you were looking. There was nobody on the sidewalk. This story gets creepier. Not long after this, my husband wakes me up in the middle of the night. We're laying in bed together and he's like, babe, wake up. And so I kind of stir awake and I'm like, what? And he's like, are you the one sitting here tapping on the headboard? And I'm like, what? He's like, I've been laying here awake for like 30 minutes and I thought maybe you were just laying there like trying to prank me and scare me. I'm like, knocking on the headboard. He's like, yeah, it's just been going like just right behind my head. And I thought maybe it was your hand and you were trying to do it to scare me. And I said, no, I'm not knocking on the headboard. And he's like, okay, super weird. We go to sleep. He wakes up, I don't know how long it was, but he wakes up and he wakes me up again. He was like, oh my God, I just had the most demonic, terrifying dream. And I'm going to tell y'all about that dream and how it came true in part 2. Let me tell you about the spookiest demonic encounter I ever had. Part 2. So my husband wakes me up and he's clearly rattled. He had had a horrible nightmare and he was like, babe, wake up. I just had a horrible, like just demonic, creepy dream. And so, of course, I sit straight up and I'm like, what was your dream? Now, this was a Saturday night. And again, he was a worship leader. I was a worship leader. We were serving in a church. And so we were, it was Saturday night and we were getting ready to go to church just the next morning. And he said we were in church, we were on stage, we were singing and leading worship. And he said, I looked out past the congregation to the main doorway that leads into the sanctuary. And he said, I saw this horrible demon just standing in the doorway. He said that in the dream, the demon looked right at him and said, I'm going to be here all day. And he continued to tell me, like, in this dream, that demon, said that to him. And then, like, he looked around the church building and there were just dead bugs all over the floor, like just piled up. And as he's telling me this, I mean, like, you can feel the energy in the apartment, like, just... It's heavy, it's dark, it's oppressive, and I mean, like, it genuinely scared us. So we got up, we started kind of praying throughout the house and just asking Jesus to remove what was in our house screwing with us. But here's where it gets crazy creepy. We finally get peace in our apartment, we feel that energy leave, and we manage to go back to bed. But the next morning, we wake up, we get ready, we go to church, pretty on edge, to be honest with you. Like, we both had a very genuine sense that that demon was real, that it had basically tried to taunt us in our dream and tell us that it was going to be in that church building waiting on us when we got there. So we walk in the church building, and literally as we're walking in, we hear staff members, like down the hallway, we hear them talking, and they're going, what is with all the dead bugs? They are freaking everywhere. And me and my husband look at each other. Y'all, the floor of that church was covered in dead bugs. You couldn't take a step without walking on one. That was all the confirmation we needed that that dream was absolutely real, and that demon might as well have showed up himself and said, told you.
Weird spooky story time and your personal stories and experiences from the Monterey Bay Aquarium. So this person said they went and visited the Monterey Bay Aquarium with her ex and his family. She said they were looking through the exhibits like normal, and they decided to go have lunch, and they found the area where it overlooks the ocean, but they were on the inside part. But then there's these glass doors where you can go and look outside. If you're local, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not local, it's like in this region here. Of course, I have the creepy photo from my story. She said they were sitting at a corner table next to the big glass doors where people can come in and out. She said on the other side of the room across from her, sitting at another table, was an old lady with her family staring at her so angrily they were literally making eye contact with her. She felt like this woman was like reading her mind. She said the other people at the table weren't paying attention to her, weren't paying attention to the old woman. They were just sitting there eating lunch like as if she wasn't even there. She said it was so strange that it made her lose her appetite and she wasn't even hungry anymore. She said she felt sick, like she had the flu immediately, even though she felt totally fine the whole day before that. Okay, I have a theory about this one. That woman was not with that family. That family could not even see her. I think she was the woman in black. And she just happened to be sitting at that table, and for some reason, this person could see her. I don't know. That's what I think. What do you guys think about this one? I had another person message me and was like, hey, I saw your TikTok on the aquarium, and I used to work at the aquarium. And she said one time she felt a presence of someone, and she actually got touched. She said she and her coworker were taking out the trash, and apparently they both saw something, and they just like stopped in their tracks and like looked at each other like, did you just see that? She said, long story short, she only worked there a couple more days and was like, I'm out, and quit.
So for the people who are into scary stuff, paranormal activity, you know, Halloween, haunted houses, spooky stuff, supernatural stuff, I got a story time for you. So I was living with my mom in California, and if you're from California, matter of fact, no, if you're watching this video, you're from California too. So just watch the video. Alright, so around this time I was babysitting or whatever while my mama was at work or whatever. You know, like when your phone, you ain't been on your phone or whatever, you ain't been touching it, and your phone starts to dim or whatever. That's what mine was doing. But then next thing you know, it lights up or whatever, and it goes to my notes. Now y'all know when you watching a scary movie, and it's always that one white girl, once she hear like a stomp or she see the light come on, she always want to be like, who's here? Why did I do that, y'all? Just why did I do that? Y'all know black people don't do that. Like, y'all know. So once it's at my notes, it starts typing like random stuff, like random letters, numbers, everything, or whatever. So after me saying, you know, the who's here thing, it types out Zachary. Y'all, so at this point, like, I kid you not, I'm spooked. I get my cousins, I'm like, let's go outside. Alright, so boom, we go outside or whatever. Wait for my mom to get home. So either the next day or maybe even a few days that passed by, my mom ended up coming to me and she was like, I want to talk to you and I want to tell you something, but I don't want to scare you. Sorry, we gonna pause there. Now, y'all, I would literally see like my peripheral view, I would always see like a flash of light, but it wasn't just any flash of light. It was like an oval. Now, it might sound so weird that it was an oval, but literally it was like something died, like maybe like a small dog, maybe a baby or something small. Like, it was always really small, but it was like a flash of light. Not just that, I would always see this tall shadow man. Like, I don't know if I'm able to like edit and like put any type of clip in here, but if I could, I will. Anywho, so my mom, she begins to tell me, you know, that she's been seeing stuff. So I paused her and I let her know, like, are you seeing like the shadow person? Are you seeing the flash of light, you know, the shape of an oval? She says yes. All right, so next thing you know, a couple days go by. Maybe it could have even been the next day. However, my mom tells me, you know, she's about to go take a nap. So okay, she goes take a nap. Next thing you know, maybe like an hour or two goes by, she wakes up and all I hear is her yelling, Aaliyah! So I run up the stairs or whatever. I run up the stairs and she's like panicking. Like, she's really panicking. She's telling me how, you know, she woke up and, you know, her door was locked when she woke up. Remind you, when she went to sleep, the door was unlocked. Not just that, she goes inside the her bathroom mirror or whatever. When she goes inside the bathroom mirror, there's like this really like massive handprint. Like, when I tell you, it was not like a human handprint at all whatsoever. It literally looked like a beast hand. Like, the fingers were like as big and as thick as hot links. I kid you not. The nails were super long, and when I tell you, it was just like a big old handprint on her face. So at this point, we're comparing her hand to the handprint on her face. Y'all, when I tell you, there was nothing similar, nothing, like, there was literally no possible way. So not just that, we lived like literally walking distance from this church that we were going to. We let them know what was going on. They came over to our townhouse and, you know, they opened every window, they blessed the house. So, you know, we're thinking that we don't have to deal with this stuff anymore, right? So now, y'all, it gets deeper. Now, where our townhouse was, there was like a walkway, you know, that'll lead you to the parking area. Now, in front of the parking area, we had this one weird, creepy neighbor, y'all. And we just gonna name her Susie. Now, y'all, Susie had about like maybe like 3 or 4 small dogs or whatever. And Susie always wore dark clothes, dark makeup, dark hair. Everything was so dark about her, down to her nails. Now, Susie used to walk around the apartments with her dog, but like, you know, when you walking your dogs or whatever, I don't even got dogs, but I've seen it happen. But you know, when you walking your dogs or whatever, you walking, you making sure they pee, they poop, whatever. Now, with Susie, when Susie was walking her dog, she was like power walking, like she looked really creepy, like, y'all, like her eyes was like weird. Not just that, but when Susie would leave out of her house, y'all, and I'm not saying y'all gotta open y'all door all wide, but y'all, when I tell you, Susie would open her door to where it was cracked and like will slide her body out. It was just so weird. Like, now, y'all, throughout the whole entire complex, there's walkways, like literally walkways everywhere, and both sides have grass or whatever. Y'all, she would literally cut in the back of people's like homes or whatever and like walk her dogs back that way. And it was almost as if she was like chanting something. All right, y'all, so then one day, me and my mom, I don't know if we just came in the house or we were about to leave, but we kept hearing like a really loud like buzzing sound. Like, literally all you heard was and y'all, when I tell you, we could not figure out where the sound was coming from at all whatsoever. We're looking high and low throughout the whole townhome, trying to figure out where is the sound coming from. So I got to the point where we gave up. I go into the kitchen. At this point, I'm looking for something to drink or something. Anywho, as I'm in the kitchen, this loud buzzing sound is getting even louder. Like, I kid you not, all you hear is bzzz, and it's loud. Like, it's really, really loud. I'm looking, trying to see if there's like, you know, a fly stuck inside of a blind. Is there like, you know, like, I don't know what it is. You would have thought there was like a June bug inside of our home somewhere. Like, it was just so loud. But like I said, now that I'm in the kitchen, it's so much louder. So I look inside of our bay window, inside of our kitchen or whatever. I'm looking inside the window, y'all. When I tell you, I kid you not, it was literally over 100 flies, like 100 flies, and I'm trying to see if there's anything dead, y'all. When I tell you, it was so disgusting. It was so crazy, and it's so crazy because it's like we usually have our kitchen curtain open, so it's like, how in the hell did all these flies get back there? You know, like, it didn't make sense. There was nothing dead. There was no food, nothing nasty in the garbage disposal. Y'all, when I tell you, it made no sense. Alright, so fast forward. We go down to the leasing office at this point because we need to talk to somebody about this. You know, we didn't got the house prayed over, and we're still going through crazy stuff. Alright, so boom, we're in there. We're letting them know all the crazy stuff that's going on or whatever, everything that we're experiencing, and come to find out, we're not crazy. The people in the office were saying that they've been seeing spirits and hearing ghosts inside of the office. Not just that, when we left out of the office, one of the maintenance men came to my mom and let my mom know that while my mom was sitting down, that was a ghost standing next to her. He explained to her that he's able to actually see spirits, and there was one standing right next to her. Not just that, but we were told that the apartment / townhomes that we were living in was actually built over, I think it was like a cemetery, or it was something, but however, a lot of people was killed there, and yeah, they were haunted. Then y'all, around that time, I was going to a charter school called Options for Youth. Now, if you know, then you know what it is. If you don't know, it's basically a charter school where it's like home studies, basically, in other words. Alright, so anywho, I was inside my room and I'm doing my homework. Now, just how I'm sitting, y'all, let me show y'all. My legs was up just like this, and I was doing homework on my lap. Now, I'm waiting for my mom to come home or whatever, and in my peripheral view, y'all, when I tell y'all, it was literally a person standing there. And I thought it was my mom, y'all. I get so teary-eyed even thinking about this part, so don't mind me. So, anywho, while I'm doing my homework, I'm trying to finish my last sentence before I look up. So I think I probably like wrote the last word, put a period. I look up, y'all, when I tell y'all nobody was there, y'all. Nobody was there. And it was just somebody just standing there. Like, I literally saw this person walk up and was just standing there. And in my head, I'm thinking it was my mom or so. Like, because the person was brown. The person was around the same height as she was. But y'all, when I tell y'all when I was done, no one was there. Like, no one was there. Like, that is so crazy. Like, literally, no one was there. I literally got up once I was done, went to go see where my mom went to go see, you know, because, like, at this point, like, did somebody break in my mama's house? Or, like, you know, what is it? Because there's no way that somebody was just standing there. Somebody literally walked up, stood right there, and once I was done, I looked up, that person was gone. Then, y'all, not just that, it's been times where I probably chilling on my phone or watching TV or whatever, and somebody would sit on my bed. Like, somebody would literally sit on my bed. Like, y'all know when somebody sit on your bed and you see, like, the butt print, or, like, when somebody get up, you'll see the butt print. Y'all, literally, it would be, like, a whole indent inside of my bed. Like, I would hear somebody sit on my bed, and it'd be nobody there. Like, I don't know. But you know what's so weird is the fact that, literally, the place that we were living, the name has been changed so many times. Like, so many times. When we were living there, they were called the Waverleys. Now I think they're called the Avante, something, but it's just like, why y'all keep changing the name? You know, like, what are
Hey guys, I'm Jenny and this is Shameless Plug. So I want to tell you guys about my Crown of Success manifestation book with easy, simple rituals and spells to manifest a life of abundance in your life. And those spells are so easy, even a child can do it. So this book is filled with different spells that I've learned over the years from my family, passed down from grandma and everything. And also those are spells that I've actually tried and I know that they work. So this book not only teach you step by step on the things that you can do that are so easy that a child can do it, but it tells you like the proper moon phase to use, alchemy, manifesting with numbers, numerology, and also the days of the week that best fit for this particular spell. So it tells you the timing of when to practice the spell, the days of the week, the moon phase. It shows you all the colors of the candles that you should be using and different planets. So for example, I show you like planet Jupiter is for Thursdays and the hours of the days that you should be doing the spell. So this is an easy road opener spell. So I know a lot of people like to do like different spell work, but if your roads are blocked of course your spells are not going to work. So it's good to unblock yourself first and then start using the spell, especially with the new years and the new days to come. And also I have some amazing spells in here. This is a powerful quick money spell, so if you're in a bind for some money and you're just trying to get some money. And I even have some easy powerful spell to win game of chance. So if you are a gambler, now I don't promote gambling, but if you are a gambler and you're just trying to make some money and trying to make sure you win, these spells will definitely help you. It tells you the best days to do it. So it says the best days to perform this spell is on a Thursday, Jupiter day. Jupiter is the planet of good fortune, luck, and expansion. Jupiter is the best day to perform spells that boost luck and increase your chance of success in any game of chance or any money spell, period. It has a list of so many spells that you can incorporate in your life with this new year to bring prosperity. And I even put some bonus spells on here, which for Saturday is a day to do like protection work. So I have a spell for like send back to senders. So I put some bonus spells on here, and then a protection with Archangel Michael. So there's so many spells on here. Removing the evil eye spell, so you can remove evil eye in your money and also in your everyday life. New Year home blessing spell, and I know it's been a few days since the new year started, but you can always do a home blessing spell any days of the week. As long as you need it, you could do it. So anyways, guys, this is my book. It's called Crown of Success by Jenny, and it's available on Amazon, the ebook and also the physical copy. So please grab a copy if you're interested in supporting this channel. This is a way to support the channel and to support me as well for putting out, you know, content every day for you guys to enjoy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this book, and I hope you go and grab your copy, whether it's the ebook or the physical copy. I say have a physical copy, but it's really up to how much, you know, your wallet and what you can afford. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Mwah. This is a shameless plug, so just check out my channel, okay? Love you guys. Mwah.